reporter a microphone. I have to tell you, I was flattened by Kent's death. I'm sorry. I didn't know him that well, but he is a month younger than my daughter. And Jay and I weren't exactly spring chickens when we had our kids.
But I am now.
Yeah. He's getting young. So, just before Kent graduated, Jay and I had some Press Club Foundation business to do, and we were meeting, and he dragged Kent along to come to lunch with us. And it was one of those moments when you delight in seeing the genetic process. You know, they talk about kids growing old like their parents. Well, there's this other thing. When you see the genetic transfer, the subliminal, in a friend's child. And here was this young man about to start his, life away from Pops. And you could tell that this was not exactly his idea of fun, but hey, it was free food. And so we're there, and what I saw in Kent was all the little things that I have loved for years in Jay. He was smart, he was witty, and he was a bit irascible. And I thought, oh, Jay, you've been handing it out, and now he's dishing it back. As I said, it just flattened me when I learned of his death, because I can't imagine anything worse. But, as Sandy said, what it has done for me is, I used to tell Caitlin whenever she was, bitching about something that I did for her, go tell it to Oprah. She's the only one that really wants to listen. Well, I've learned in just the past few months, to step back and say to myself, does this really matter? Is this really picking a mother-daughter hen fight over? And it's remarkable the number of times when it's really worth it. I can't think of one since his death. I will never ask you to put on a happy face for me, but I want you to know he gave me that gift.
Yes, thank you.
I didn't know Jay well, but the small amount of time that I got to spend with him, I realized how compassionate and loving and what a bright, wonderful child he was. And his passing was shocking to me as well. And I'm so sorry for your loss, but this is very fitting for him. He was a wonderful kid, and he will live on in our hearts. And every time I look at the owl with its cockeyed eyes, one looking up, one looking out, I will think of your son. Thank you for bringing him to us and letting him get to know him a little bit.
Jay, do you want to say a few words?
Oh, you know me, I want to say a lot of words.
You can say as much as you want.
Here, come up.
You want to chant? You want to chant?
Oh, no, I think I'll stand up. Can y'all hear me without the microphone?
Sure.
I'm going to put it down because I can't do two things at one time. Sandy, thank you and the Center for Brain Health. I can't tell you what this means to us as a family. It's such a cool thing to do. I was there in Austin the weekend before Kent passed. By the way, this is his sister, and this is Kent's mother, Kathy Kimberly. I was there with him in Austin the weekend before he passed, and we talked about a lot of stuff, fathers, sons, talked about sports, the Rangers, how bad the Cowboys are, all that stuff. But we did talk about the Center for Brain Health, and we talked about the impact, oddly enough, that it had on him and what it meant to him. So we're so grateful for everything you've done. He's looking down at this whole event today, and he's going, you're kidding me. He wouldn't be able to believe it. we're so grateful for you honoring his memory. You know, Kathy sent me a lot of the home videos that we shot of, you know, Kent and Kimberly through the years, and I tortured myself about 2 weeks ago, and I poured through the hours of the tapes. And I cried and I laughed, and there was one clip in there of him. He was 6 years old, and he said 3 words 3 different times. He said, "I am somebody. I am somebody. I am somebody." And I thought, you know, pretty cool. You know, he was somebody. You look at his Facebook today, and the people who continue to post and talk about, you know, his smile and what he meant to him and how he communicated, his love of life. You know, I was driving down to Austin when I heard the news, and I thought, let's cancel that Facebook page, and that would have been probably the 3rd dumbest thing I ever said. I'm thankful that we kept it all up. You know, it was just Wednesday that we finally said his headstone, and Wednesdays are tough for us because that's the day we lost Ken. We think about it. Every Wednesday in the 4 months since he's gone have been tough. But I think, you know, on behalf of Kimberly and Kathy, I want to say there's no way we could have made it through these last 4 months if it hadn't been for our faith and our friendship and our family. And we want to thank every one of you for coming out today. You know, grief counselors will tell you a lot of stuff. You know, they'll tell you, don't worry so much about how you're doing today. Worry about how you're doing in 6 months. And I think that's because there's a fear that you have that, you know, people will forget it, and they'll quit talking about it, and they'll quit asking you how you feel. And Sandy, that's what's so very cool about this, because his memory's going to last. And I want to thank you for that, because you recognize that Kent was somebody. He was somebody. He was somebody. And we're grateful for you helping memorialize that. We're grateful for you all for coming out. Thank you.
The artist wasn't able to be here today, but when he heard about it, he said, because for him, Julie's going to be the letter that he wrote. But Brad Oldham is an internationally known artist, and to have a piece of his here, so Brad was said he couldn't be here.
To the Rosser family, I apologize for my absence.
Hey, I can't hear.
So she can do 2 things at once.
To the Rosser family, I apologize for my absence. I wish I were there to tell you this in person. Although I did not know Kent personally, I will remember him. To have a sculpture I created dedicated to such a participating member in life on this planet is truly an honor. As a sculptor, I strive to touch people with my creations. In this case, the opposite has occurred. Kent has touched me through my sculpture. The reflective quality of the mere finish will allow all of you to see yourselves and possibly a little bit of Kent when you look into the owl. Even though I am a guy, I regret not experiencing one of his hugs. My condolences and prayers are with you all. Sincerely, Brad Oldham.
So I want us now to go out to see the words that you all wrote that are so beautiful. Do you have them written down? No, I don't have them written down, and I don't want to try to. Do you remember? They were so beautiful. Let's go read them and go get a picture of Kent, who is going to inspire us every single day to do more because he was here. Thank you guys so much for coming to celebrate, and then we'll come back inside and think of the joy that he's going to have with us. Kathy, you don't want to say anything? No.